All right. All right, everybody, what's going on? I say everybody like there's anybody on here yet, but they're not because I just hit go live. So Micah and I are going to hang out here for a couple minutes
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah. So let's see here. I'm just trying to look. Yeah, I see us live here. So, guys, if you're watching on Facebook, I believe on Facebook you have to give it permission to um, share your name. I think there's a thing when you want to make a comment on a StreamYard. We're on StreamYard right now. So it otherwise it just says Facebook user. So I see Matos, who's watching on YouTube. What's going on? I see Facebook user who says, I've been ready. I'm excited for this conversation today. Mike, I'll officially introduce you in a couple minutes here when we actually kick off at the start time. Because I had to move it
Works
to
for me.
4:40 p.m. with all the places it was streaming. It wouldn't allow me to do things. So, all right. So, and you just cruised in. You said traffic was crazy, huh?
It was, yeah. So I don't know what it is, but there's this light that just went bonkers right outside of my town. And this morning, where there's never traffic in the morning, there was a line all the way through town. And then coming back home today, there was a line all the way. Interstate's 8 miles away.
Oh,
There was a line for 4 of those 8 miles. So yes, I don't know what's going on with
dang.
this light, but it needs to figure it out quick.
Yeah, we've got some crazy construction going on in our neck of the woods right now, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I'm just peeking here real quick, Micah, just to make sure that we're live, and we are. So here we go. So we're on
Yep.
YouTube. So Matos is there. Chelsea Fife, what's going on? Good to see you. Jake, how are you? Gruntworks, what's up, brother? Um, I see Jake is there. Who else? Facebook user got in just in time. You got to like give permission to StreamYard to use your name, or we just see Facebook user. Merrick, what's going on?
Yep.
Dennis,
Steve
how are
Welch.
you? What's up? What are you seeing there?
We
Micah,
got
what's
John Burns. I've
there
been
you go.
ready. Steve Welch. Just in time. Yep.
All right. We got
I've got it pulled up on
oh,
my phone.
look at you, fancy pants. John Burns, what's going on, brother? Richard in Ann Arbor, Michigan. How are you? Mosquito Land, USA. You know, I'm from the Chicagoland area originally, my friends, and I'm in Colorado now, and I can say that there's two things we have not a lot of here, and that's mosquitoes and humidity. And I really dig it. So, anyway, Neil, what's up? Yes, Micah is the man. Jeff Rayleigh, what's going on? Guys, Jeff is one of our sponsors at the Mile High Profit Summit coming up. You're going to be seeing and hearing from him. And he's on LinkedIn right now. So good. Now I know it's on LinkedIn. We're working there. So I'm on 4 different places right now streaming. I'm everywhere but Instagram because it doesn't allow us to do that with StreamYard. Angel, what's going on? Facebook user, I'm originally from Michigan. Guys, do the permissions thing. Try to find the permissions thing on Facebook. Otherwise, I don't know your name. I'm sorry. And I think you go in there, and when you go to comment on the StreamYard thing, it says give StreamYard permission or some shit like that. I don't know. But so we're here, Micah. Micah just pulled this out of his keister today. I asked him a few hours ago, hey, you want to go live with me and talk about your life? What's up, Tanika? I figured that was you. I didn't want to make an assumption. Micah drove on my street today, says someone else. I see Brad Valentine is liking this. So what's up, Brad? Good to see you. Marvin Torado in Maryland. I know it's Maryland. I'm just being goofy. So anyway, Micah, thanks for last minute stuff here. Just going, hey, want to come on and
Yeah,
talk about your feelings and your life and your private issues in front of a
that's
bunch
right.
of people. And guys, I'm happy to announce that you're going to hear whatever we talk about today at a much deeper level. September 22nd through 24th in Denver, Colorado, when Micah is part of our I Made the Choice to Be Profitable panel discussion. So Yes, John, you got it. Good job. Kyle, how are you? Sean, yes, it worked. All right, good job, people. Way to go. So, Mike, I'm fired up, man, because when we were putting together this event, you were one of the very first names that we were like, we got to get him on the I Made a Choice to Be Profitable panel, because profit is a choice. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here a little bit today. And this was prompted by, I got to yell at the dog now. Bean, get upstairs. Get upstairs. Go. Come down here and take a dump. Get upstairs. Go away. All right. Well, looks like I'll just be cleaning up crap later because I don't want to yell with everybody on here. But dude, what's that?
I said it's kind of unprofessional.
Yeah, it kind of is. You know me. Just about everything I do is unprofessional. So, but anyway, okay. we will do YouTube instead of Facebook. Can't find buttons, says Steve. All right, man. Good to see you here on YouTube. So, Micah, I'm excited because you're one of the first names that we thought of as somebody who, it's one thing for people to get up and be part of an event and this and that and go, yeah, my business grew, right? And it's very vague and not very detailed. I realized I put a message out a few hours ago about going live here, and I said, join Mike and as we go live and hear his little of his story of going from 332,000 to, and I forgot to put the words in debt in there. So it actually said, I screwed it up. See, admin task. Woo! That's why, how many of you watch my shit and know Tom sucks at admin stuff? It's because we didn't plan this. See, I'm owning my crap. We didn't plan this, so I didn't give it to Roz to be done right. So I did it myself and did it wrong, but we're still here. All right, so there you go.
That's right.
It's supposed to say here a little bit of his story of how in about, 2.5 years, shit, a little less. Charlie says, LOL, I noticed that. Well, thanks, Charlie. Anyway, Mikey, you went for about negative $333,000 and people banging on your door. Flip that a couple years later, you got 300 grand or so in the bank. And I put in here, Mike is the real deal. And so you and a couple other people that are going to be on this panel are people that have been in the depths of negative profit life. And so you did a post the other day in one of our groups, a couple of our groups. Why don't you give us intro yourself first, where you are, what do you do for that? And then give us a little bit of the bullet points of that post that you shared about where you were when you kind of joined our world.
Yeah. Oh, when I joined your world.
Like, where were you? What do you do? Who the heck are you? What do you do?
Yeah.
Start with that.
Yeah. Okay. So, yep. So I do ponds, patios, and lighting. We kind of have it narrowed down to those three things. Niching down is part of our success story for sure. Part of saying no and protecting our schedule and guarding against time wasters and things like that. And of course, CSA has taught us how to look through people and see whether there be an ideal client for us, whether it'll be somebody that we're able to even work with and win. Where I've come from, I started out in high school. I've never done anything else. Started out in high school cutting grass, actually with a push mower, and then convinced my brother, who had gone away to college, to let me use his lawn equipment because he was cutting to make money to pay for college. And so I just started out like that and didn't really go to college. I've got credit hours under my belt, but I didn't really go to college. It wasn't, I remember being 12 saying I wasn't going to go to college. Right. It was never in the cards for me. I kind of, a mentor kind of helped me out, and it took my, one man and a truck kind of business from, we'd never done more than 150 rapidly over the course of 5 years to $1.6 million in revenue. And I had no clue what I was doing. I was just, this makes sense. I'll do this. This makes sense. I'll do this. And then I remember the first week I was in the CSA Mastermind, which is now a defunct group, but it was essentially the 100K, the CSA Bridge, and the 5, and maybe even a couple of other programs all rolled into one. I mean, that was the best bang for buck CSA's ever had.
Yeah.
And know your numbers. Tom's there knocking on the door. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. And okay, I was like, all right, let's figure it out. And I remember I crunched everything. And before I even made any money at all, just paying expenses, I needed to make $42 a man hour. There are people are still charging $35 a man hour. And that was just a wake-up call for me. And so then I started crunching the numbers and realized that we weren't making money. You know, this is why it was so stressful for so many years. You know, we had this massive cash flow. I mean, 1.6 is no little bit of money. So we had this massive cash flow of money just coming in the door, and I was racking up debt. I was paying people to be working in their yard at the end of the day. So once I realized that, I actually started cutting services pretty quickly. So we started kind of niching down, like, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to, this is all 2018 at this point. And I niched down a little bit too quickly, actually. So while we may have been just kind of floating and kind of just barely taking care of the debtors and things like that, I niched down a little bit too quickly. And we went from being able to service all of our debt quickly to not being able to service our debt. And that's where the kind of the serious crunch. So December 25th, 2018, I had $422,000 in debt.
Oh, it was 422. I misread that.
Nope, you got it right. I paid off $332,000.
Okay, you've paid 332 off from then till now, and you got 300 something in the bank and all that other stuff with your business and collect and receivables and all that other stuff that we've talked about. So guys, here he was, $500,000 in debt. Micah, talk about, and guys, I think, I don't know what episode it is, but we interviewed you on our Contractor Fight podcast, and you told this story even more in depth. Talk about what was taped to your door.
Yeah. So it wasn't the first time, but where this post that Tom is referencing came from is I left CSA actually, and I'm all in on the training, right? I'm probably as close to a CSA's fanboy as there possibly could be, because it's changed my life. Like it literally has changed everything about my life. There's not literally from sex life, family life to business life. There's nothing that hasn't been touched by having money in the bank and being able to run a business and being able to actually survive. But I had these warning debts taped to my door. There were people that wanted money from me, and I got those taped to my door, and I thought I had been doing pretty well. I was kind of keeping up with stuff. I mean, it was rough, don't get me wrong, but I called Derek up and I said, hey, Derek, I got to leave the group. And Derek talked to me, actually. I think we had a 3-hour conversation at that point. And he's like, no one has ever left and come back. If somebody says they're leaving, that's it. That's, kind of KO. They're out. But I had I made a spreadsheet, and I have all my debt laid out in a graph, and then I have all of my debtors laid out this way. And I'm like, okay, if I get to this point, I can get back into CSA, but I have to pay off these 7 things in order to get back into CSA. This whole thing was prompted because I stumbled across that spreadsheet, and I saw that I had the get back to spreadsheet number, or get back to CSA number. And it brought up a lot of memories about where I've been, what I've been through, and kind of what it takes to get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I have known you through this journey and watched you carry the weight of the world. And guys, this, Mike is referencing the CSA, which is one of our sister companies called the Contractor Sales Academy that I own. We do sales training. Mike has been, part of our 100K group. He's in our impact group now in the Contractor Fight. I mean, he's all in. And the point here is not for you to go run to our website right now and sign up for the 100K or the CSA or anything like that. Okay. I will tell you right now, unapologetically, the goal, if I could wave a magic wand, I'm just being honest here. If I could wave a magic wand over the results of this, is if you are not yet signed up for our Mile High Profit Summit in Denver, you would go to the link that we'll put in here at some point and go to thecontractorfight.com, and it's at the top of the page, and check out what we have going on, because it's people like Micah that are going to be on the stage sharing these stories. And I want you to hang out Like, not just hear him from the stage, but Mike is going to be there for a few days. He's going to be hanging out. He's going to be, having a vitamin water or a beer or whatever the hell he drinks, okay, at the bar. You're going to be able to have lunch with them or whatever it might be. We've got networking events, all this. Guys, that's where the magic happens, where you get to pick brains of guys like that. You get to go, dude, what the hell did you do when you knew that you had $500,000 in debt and you paid that shit off all but $100,000 in 2 years? And Micah, there's other stuff in your business that's just kicking ass, the way you've increased your profit and all that other stuff. But so that's the number one goal, guys. I'm telling you right now, unapologetically. If you don't like that, I'm sorry. Okay. But you need to be your own biggest fan about the shit you do in your business, like I am. I'm modeling it for you all. All right. Like, if you're a painter and you deliver amazing value to people and fucking make their lives easier, then you should unapologetically believe that every human being on the planet that needs a paint job should pay you, okay, to do it. All right. So just imitate me on that. Second thing, I want to dig into not so much the tactical stuff that you learned, but what were some of the mindset shifts that you had to make? Your panel that we're going to go deep into in Denver. So I'm not going to spill the beans on a lot of it here, but I just wanted some highlights of what were some of the mental shifts that you had to make, because I remember there was a moment in time when it was almost like you planted your flag and you said, I'm going to make this work. Like, walk us through some of the mental game that you had to battle. Walk us through a little bit of maybe what was going on at home, however appropriate you want to do that here.
Yeah. So I know there's two definitive moments when I planted my flag. I don't know the exact date, but I do know exactly what happened. So the first one, one is my faith and how that relates to making profit. I'm a strong believer. My faith is a core pillar of who I am as a person. It's just what's going on. And I grew up with my father is a builder. He raised us, do everything you do with all your might and all your strength unto the Lord kind of mindset. And I never thought that I could actually make a profit and charge somebody and I could make good money and still feel okay and go to bed at night. That was
Why do you think that is? Now, because I come from Wheaton, Illinois, which has a church like every 7 feet in the town. All right, just for you guys, I grew up, by one side of the family, as Jim Gaffigan says, was massively Catholic, like really Catholic, like Shiite Catholics is what he calls them. I always thought that was funny. And then the other side of my family was Protestant, and it was always like this badge of honor to, I don't want to steal what you're saying. Actually, I'm going to shut up because this is really about you, man. I'm going to control myself here, because I know exactly my issues, why I never thought it was possible to make money, but I'm curious why you felt that way, that you couldn't do that.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just making a note for me to come back to something later so I don't derail myself.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. So, my dad never made money. Like, he was in business, and like, he just retired. He just turned 70, and I think he's officially like rung the bell. Like, he's officially like, you know what? Like, he just realized life is short, and he's done fighting, and he's just going to retire now. It's not worth the squeeze. But I remember, like, my mom like pushing him, like, charge more, charge this, charge that, and my dad never would. And so a lot of the mindset kind of stuck with me. Like, I have to do the right thing for the client, because you always do the right thing for the client. And the right thing for the client is to give them amazing quality, excellent communication at a great price. And so I embodied that to an extent. Like, I worked my ass off to give people stuff, because at the end of the day, I was literally giving people stuff. And so coming into this breakthrough was kind of realizing, like, wait a second. It is okay to charge. It's okay to put food on my family's table, because then I can use that money for other things if I want to. I can take care of people in other regards. I don't have to. Profit's not the devil. So that was kind of like breakthrough number one. Like, faith and profit don't conflict. They can actually work very, very well together, and it allows me to further my faith, quite honestly. The the second breakthrough, and I remember this post as if it was yesterday. I don't remember what the actual day was, but I remember Tom putting out this post, and it was in the contractor fight in the Facebook group. And he said, and there was language in it, and he said, some of you don't deserve to be in business. You do not deserve to be in business. You should be working for somebody else. You're disgraceful to your family. You're ruining your family's life by not never being there. You're wasting your time. Just flat out go work for somebody else. Stop fighting. You're wasting oxygen. And I remember I was driving and I pulled over to the side of the road and I just started crying. Because I was wasting my family's time at that point. It was a waste of oxygen for what I was doing. And so I looked at myself and I kind of, up and down, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep fighting, or am I going to am I going to go get a job? And I decided at that moment that there's never going to be a reason for me to go get a job in this sector ever again. It's time to fight. And it's time because it takes just as much effort to be successful as it does to be a failure. And I just buckled down.
Well, there's so much I want to dig into there. So let's go on that last thing you said about the same amount of effort. Why do you say that?
So once you get the ball rolling, success feels it feels easier once you get the ball rolling. There's a lot of micro hurdles that you have to get over in the beginning, but I feel like once you kind of get that momentum going, and that momentum can come and go, but once you really get that momentum going, I feel like it just kind of, it brings on a weight of its own. And I call it the validation cycle. So if you do something and it goes unnoticed, and you do it for quite a while, and you kind of go, going around this cycle, you keep on doing it, it's kind of unnoticed, and then somebody says something to you like, dude, you're working your ass off. Good for you. That little push just kind of gives you just a little bit more of a push to kind of get around that cycle. And maybe you'll go another long time and, it takes you, say, a year to get around that validation cycle with only 3 people noticing that you're kind of kicking ass. Well, the more you do that, the more people you do it for another year, more people notice. So then next year, 6 people notice that you were doing great. So you doubled your odds. Next year, 12 people. The year after that, 30 people notice. And so all of a sudden this circle, because you've got this momentum rolling, this circle is going around, at 6,000 RPM with all these people noticing what you're doing and kind of giving you that validation and giving you that fuel to kind of power through it. And I don't always need validation, but man, it sure sparks the fire when somebody notices that you're actually working your ass off.
Yeah, we all like that pat on the back.
That's right.
Here's what I've learned, my own journey, and I'm still learning this. In fact, within the last week and a half, I've had an experience of this that I cannot go into detail here. It's just too private right now. So I won't, but I will tell you guys this, that my experience, Micah, has been the greatest growth in my life, relationships, business, all that. Holy cow, we got New Zealand out the tail tonight, man. It's so cool to see all you guys on here. I loved, and in honor of New Zealand, I'm drinking Matua Sauvignon Blanc right now. This is my favorite wine, Matua. There you go. It's from New Zealand. So anyway, it's my first glass, probably my only one. But anyway, the greatest moments of progress for me, Micah, usually follow the moments when I'm willing to have conflict. When I'm willing to pick a fight. And in some cases, pick a fight with my profit, pick a fight with my mediocrity, pick a fight with my mindset, pick a fight with, having difficult conversations with, whether it's a spouse, a business partner, your team, whatever it is. I'm curious, does anything jump out when I bring that topic up of conflict that you had to have with anyone close to you or your team or yourself or whatever that you really had to fight through?
There's been a lot. Yeah. I know right now, I can tell you what my conflict is right now.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm way past numbers I ever dreamed I'd be at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's all working, right? It's coming together as a machine. But I don't know that when I look in the mirror, I don't know that I ever wanted a machine this big, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
never my goal. My goal was to be, kind of like I always coined myself as the boutique landscaper. That was always like,
Yeah. As boutique communicates, I'm going to have a small little shop in the nice little French district of town next to the fancy coffee shop, and the right select people will come in, and I'll have this nice pace of life. Right there, you go, and I'll make money.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
do
and
custom cool projects.
yeah,
There you go.
that's right. But then these people so like our motto at our business is we change our clients' lives by changing the way they live outside. That's our MO. That's on the board. We think about that. When we bring on a new client, we put them against that. We challenge them like that. When we're trying to decide whether to give something to somebody or to do something, we challenge it against that. Like, are we actually changing? And so, like, that's a bigger than life kind of motto. And when my team has embodied it and they just absolutely 100% own it, they're killing it. And our clients love it. And it would be a disservice not to fulfill that vision and to allow my team to live that out, right? And to bring more people on to fulfill that dream and to have a mission and have purpose in life and to also bring that to our clients and to be able to change our clients' life. Like it's a real vision and it's actually working. Where I'm struggling is that's not what 3 year ago Micah wanted. And
Yeah.
so my battle right now is like, just put the work in, just do it. It's okay. Like grow the business. Don't worry about, all the little nuanced things. Worry about the sales, worry about the key things that are in my job description to worry about. Let my team worry about everything else. And we brought on a couple people that I feel very uncomfortable spending that on people, but it's just what has to happen in order to keep that vision rolling. So that's my current like challenge is my head wants to be this small, but in reality, there's so much more out there that needs to happen.
It's funny I didn't expect that. In fact, I'm going to prove this to you guys. Hold on. Hopefully my headset will reach and I can not rip the whole production down here. Hold on. I'm grabbing a book. It's just on the other side of my camera here. All right. So this is my proof that I'm not full of crap here, you guys. Okay. Micah, one of the things, and most people are really surprised when they hear this, okay? Like just because of what I do and all this other stuff. But one of my biggest demons or area of personal conflict is Tom doesn't think big enough for himself. Like I don't. And it's funny. It's not that to the point was why I got up that I was like, I got to work on this. So I'm almost done with The Magic of Thinking Big. It's a book that was written in like 1952. It's funny. It's like reading Mad Men or something because it's like, hey, women are in the kitchen and they're cooking and blah blah. It's a dated book, but the idea of the book, guys, is you really become, and we've said this a million times. I'm trying to force feed myself this, is you truly become what you think. And if you keep telling yourself that you're not big, you're not this, you're not that, then you're going to get more of that, right? And
Yep.
And I have a couple theories about myself. Of all the people that are here live on this right now, Neil Christensen's my wingman in the fight. I think he's probably known me the longest of everybody on here. He works in the fight and he's responsible for 99% of the success that happens here. And actually him and Roz and my team are, and then I'm like the other 1% guys. But so I'd be curious what Neil's take is on this, even though he's not live on the camera with us. So I'm sure he could type this in. But I'm going to share why I think I struggle thinking big. And I'm going to share first so that you have some time, Micah, to think why you might have had the same little struggle there, right? Of not embracing this right away. I think for me, it's not like, people are like, oh, you got to risk big to win big and stuff. So risking isn't a big deal for me. Now I've been on the bottom. I've been bankrupt. I've had zero. I've been in some shitty situations where I literally, guys, I lost everything. So what's funny is that doesn't scare me anymore. That truly doesn't scare me. because I've rebounded, I've recovered, stronger than ever in every area of my life. So getting knocked down to the canvas does not freak me out. I think the thing that prevents me from thinking big, and this is owning our crap, right? We own our crap in the fight, and I can't believe I'm about to say this out loud right now. Is the amount of mental discipline it's going to take me to get my shit together in these sprints. Okay. So like we do a program, we do a thing of content or whatever. It's not a marathon for me. I'm a terrible marathon runner. I'm a good sprinter. And I just know the mental taxing that it takes on me sometimes, that I think that's why I put a lid on where I could go. Like, guys, Micah, you know this, like I'm a host of a new HGTV show coming out in the fall. Not one time in my life did I ever think to myself, I should pursue being a TV host. They found me on YouTube. They came to me. I blew them off because I thought it was a joke for several months. I thought it was a scam. Okay. And just an example is I'm like, I've personally struggled thinking big. And I know a lot of you guys watching this don't. A lot of you guys, I've been at talks before. I was remember at this talk down in Cabo once. There's a billionaire guy speaking. He was awesome. He's like, you don't just think of I want to have my dream house on this beach. He says, for years, I could close my eyes and I could picture what every doorknob looked like. I knew what the window treatments looked like and all this other stuff. Okay. Like I've just never been one of those people. And right there, I'm self-talking myself out of it, right? I'm saying I've never been one of those people. So let me reframe that. See, that's another sign of somebody who's getting their shit together between their ears, guys, is you catch it, right? You reframe it. So I'm working on being better at visualizing the future I want and vocalizing the future I want. So you have to catch this. So I'm curious why your conflict or hesitation about taking this to those next levels.
I think so. I've been on the bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest fear is not wanting to go back to the bottom.
Yeah.
And ultimately, however we steer our mind is typically what we get. So you can't steer your mind to even think about worst case scenarios because your mind will steer into those worst case scenarios as you're thinking about them. Mm-hmm. I think that ultimately is my biggest fear, but I also, I sometimes I don't have some fancy education. I don't have, so sometimes I'm just wondering, like, why are these, grown ass men following this vision that I have and this, like I've got passion, right? And I can wear it on my sleeve. Why is there, a whole team of people with families and kids and like, why is their passion my passion? Like, why have they bought into it? And so those two things, I kind of think like, what if I let them down? And what if we go back to what it was? I think those are the two reasons that I kind of throttle myself back sometimes.
I appreciate that honesty, man, because it's funny for me. I think one of the things that makes me work so hard. Now, guys, remember, there's a difference between working your ass off and believing bigger, right? Like if you don't have both, you're not going to get bigger. A lot of us, like I'm a case in point, like the reason my empire is not bigger than it is right now is not my work ethic. Okay. It's what's between my ears. And then there's a lot of other people who have it all between their ears and they don't put in the work and they don't fulfill it either. Right. So we all have our own shit with this. So I want to ask you guys in the group or that are live here with us, use your chat box. And while you guys are typing stuff, I'm going to say hi to some people here and we're going to go maybe another 10 minutes, guys, and we'll get out of here and let Micah get back to his family. Here's my question. Scale of 1 to 10. You can't use 7 in the fight. Sorry, I ripped that off from Tim Ferriss because 7 is a safe number. Where are you on the thinking big scale. 10 is, I think, through the roof to the moon and back every 5 seconds, like truly visionary. And let me say this, I'm visionary, but I still don't think as big, right? Or 1 is like, I'm a total, small thinker. So type that in the chat here, you guys. There's a 5 from Nate. And I'm going to just say hi to some people. I want to say hi to Nate, Joe Everest, what's up? Bobby Kerr, Jake San Miguel. You can thank Jake for a lot of my lighting down here and some other things. Jake's an amazing human being. Cody, what's going on in West Virginia? We got Jimmy. April, what's up? Gary, how are you? Mo Brown in New Zealand. Jared, good to see you. Neil, I already said hi to you, so whatever. Kyle and John, that's just some of the. Jason Abraham, what's going on? Steve Welch, Busy 12081 from Delaware. Good to see you, Sean King, Matos, Marvin, bunch of Facebook users. It just says Marvin Sidarius, what's going on, brother, up in Canada? Angel, how you doing? Jeff, Richard, I said hi to everybody else earlier. Oh, wait, was that Javier? Did I miss a Javier? I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to miss names. I hate when I miss you guys. Where is it? Javier, what's going on, he says. You tell me, man. Nick Boston, Richard from Peak, Nate, Jake, Charlie, Gruntworks, Merrick. Okay, so I know I said hi to all those people. All right, so what do we got here? I want to go back to some of these numbers here, Micah. So we got, hey, Kelsey Hermans, what's going on? I did get your text today. I'm sorry I didn't reply. It's been a crazy day. Kelsey lives like 20 baseball throws away from me or something. Just up the street. So anyway, depends whose arm it is, I guess, though, right? With me, it's probably 150. All right, Nate's a 5. Monaco's a 4. Hunter's a 4. Facebook user 8 or 9. Facebook user 5. We got an 8, a 6, an 8, a 2, and a 9. Yeah, it's like, I get you. Joe McPherson, a 4. Joe, that surprises me, man, because, guys, you don't know Joe, man. You go back and listen to our podcast with Joe. Joe's freaking amazing. Where you came from, brother, man, there is no limit to where you want to go. I'll tell you that, which is funny. I could tell you that, but I have a struggle telling myself that, right? Joe, 8 to 9, probably a 6. We got a 4, a 4.75. This is Kelsey. We got an 8. We got a 4. Got a lot of 8s, 4s, a couple 6s. I got big dreams, but making small steps. I got a 6. 9, new to the videos, wondering what FW means. Conroy, FW stands for fucking winner. So I'm sorry if your kid was next to you when I said that. But that's my version of just a kick-ass human being, man. Be an FW, all right, and everything that you do. Tanique is a 6. Was a 3, recently more towards an 8, says Cody. So what comes to mind when you see all these numbers, man? When I'm reading off all these numbers, where are you? Yeah. I never asked you your number. And I think I'm a 6, by the way. I didn't get mine. I think I'm a 6.
Yeah. I think I'm a 7.
You're not allowed to use 7, man.
No,
it's your Micah, so I'll let you.
I think no, but I think in general, I tend to push towards an 8 because I'm okay dreaming big. It's vocalizing that big dream, and this is mental trash on my part. But whenever I hear somebody that's got this massive dream and they're pushing for it, I'm like, well, they just don't. They don't know real life yet. They haven't experienced what it's actually like out there in the world. Like I'll hear people just come fresh into the group and they'll say like this is their vision, like they're not even a year in business and they're like, we're gonna franchise, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and it's just like, hey buddy, like life is real and it's hard, and like I've been there, I know what it's like, and I think that that's too big a vision. So when I'm not okay with that. Like I'm not saying that that's how I should be talking, but I tend to like, wait a second, bring it down a peg. So I probably, in reality, I push as an 8, but I'm constantly talking myself down to like a 5.
So here's what's funny to me is I'm sitting here. I'm thinking about you paying off damn near $500,000 worth of debt in a couple of years, where you've turned things around. Your life, your business. I mean, earlier you skipped over it, and that's fine. We don't have to dig into it. But you mentioned how, you planting your flag has been better for your marriage and you as a parent and like every area of your life. And the guys, that's the goal. That's the goal of the Profit Summit in Denver in September, is that every area of your life, your mental well-being, your physical health, right? Your relationships, your bank account, the way you lead your people. Like what good is it to work as hard as we work in business and not have our business serve every area of our life and make every area better? Okay.
Yep.
That's just my take. And let me say this on relationships before I say the thing I wanted to say about you guys. I did a Instagram post, and I'll show it to you here real quick, the other day. And I do a fair amount of posting on Instagram and all this other stuff. There's my queen and me and all this other stuff. The number one viewed and clicked post that I put out, that I promoted, I'm running some ads to it and stuff, for the event was this one. And notice what it says: get to Denver, grow your relationships, hit the link. Okay. This post that talks about grow your relationships is blowing away every other ad we're doing. Like, guys, I'm telling you, Micah, you talked about it, and you were talking about the post I did, and you had to pull over, and I'm like, yeah, I probably said that, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, right? Because I've been there. I say these things like, guys, if you're not all in to make every area of your life and business better, and get the hell out, go work for somebody else, the strain is too much. You are stealing from your family, like Micah was talking. That's why I think that Instagram is really resonating with people, right? And so, but what I was going to, when you were talking, I was taking some notes, and you gave yourself, you tried to give yourself a 7, and then you said, I think I'm an 8, but then I talked myself into this and all that other shit. The results that you've gotten in the last couple of years would indicate that you're really, and I have a point to this, so give me a minute. It would say to me that you were thinking like a 9 or a 10 for thinking big, because you had this mountain of debt in front of you. However, how did you get rid of it? It's a trick question. You didn't get rid of it by thinking big every day. You got rid of it by waking up. And, a lot of people don't know this. I probably don't share this enough, Micah, but in the fight, we have a thing called the Profit Creed. And one of the parts of the Profit Creed is profit does not follow a victim mindset, right? Like, as long as you give yourself an out, as long as you make yourself a victim, you guys, we're not going to implement the shit that you need to implement. And so, Micah, the old cliche, you got rid of that mountain and turned your whole life and business around by eating the elephant one bite at a time, consistently each and every day, mostly on the days you didn't feel like it. That's how you got there. So guys, as much as thinking big is important, okay, I don't want to take anything. I need to grow in this area about thinking big. I think, we could all do, but I would say, and I'll let you speak to this, that more importantly, get up and take a small step today.
Yeah, I would say, as you're saying that, the victim mindset, that is probably when you're talking about planting a flag in the ground, that was one of my first flags I ever planted in the ground. Was I created this hellhole. Mm-hmm. Like, no one else created it. I had guys stealing money from me. I could have sued them. I could have gone after, we ended up finding out that they stole about $600 or $100,000 from us through lying on timesheets and stealing materials. And we could have gone after them, but whose responsibility was it to make sure that they were actually doing the work that they were actually saying they were going to do? And whose responsibility was it to make sure that they were actually using the materials for the jobs they said? That's nobody else's fault. When I see a post out there when somebody's 100% blaming their project manager for failing on a job, or they're out there blaming their wife or their employee or their crew or a client for messing up something, the blame is not on them. The blame or on the person. The blame is squarely back on the person who's casting the blame, because you are in control of every single scenario that leads to your failure. It may not seem like it, but small little changes in our head completely shift the direction that we're going to go. The minute that we're willing to take ownership, We say, wait a second, that client's not going to be happy with this result. Wait a second, instead of waiting until after it's done to like wait for them to be upset. No. Pause. You're not going to be happy with this, and here's why. Own it. Don't wait for them to say they don't like it, and then you're like, well, the client is just wrong. They don't like what's going on. The victim, like I could go on for hours about how changing that one thing, take ownership, take responsibility, make the change, make the steps that need to happen. Look at yourself in the fucking mirror and just own it.
Yeah. Dude, you got me. So I'm like literally I'm sitting on the edge of my seat right now. I scooted up and I'm like all pumped. I got to go swing my kettlebell or something right now. But guys, that's the thing. Like the size of your belly or lack of belly, the size of your bank account or lack of money in the bank account, the quality of the relationship you have with your spouse, with your kids, with your team, with whatever, it is 100% in your control. It is your choice. There are circumstances. There will always be circumstances. We can't do a thing about the circumstances. The only thing that we can control is our attitude and our actions. Okay? Like AA batteries, right? AA, attitude and actions. Control that shit, and you are going to be on your way. Like, guys, you just do that every day. You're eating a bite of the elephant every day. And I hate that cliche, by the way, I said it twice. That's how much I hate it, Mike. I said it twice, but it's so true. It's like, you've seen, I've done posts, with our water feature outside the other day, last week, and I had the water coming over the waterfall, and I'm like, guys, the water wins every time. It always beats the rock because it keeps showing up. All right. So even if you struggle like I do to some degree with thinking big, and even if you think big and you could see your name in lights and all this other shit and whatever, it's still going to come down to how you could focus in this moment right now, eating this bite of the elephant. Okay. So, all right. Do you have 5 more minutes?
Oh yeah. I got plenty of time. I will add one thing to that if I can.
You go for it.
I used, when I'm coming out of that kind of like mindset struggle where I'm blaming other people for all the issues and everything that I've been and all, like, want to blame the whole world for everything I've experienced. I've been beaten down. The county made me move 6 times out of different locations, or, I couldn't get a line of credit when I needed it, or, they're taping things, or I couldn't get my license released, or they turned off. Who cares, right? All the things that get thrown at me. And if you know where you're going, if you know your direction, if you know like what the end goal is, and you can see it, you can taste it, you know what it's there, and you can see it all, and shining gold. Others may change our path, but they cannot change our direction. Circumstances can bump against us as we're driving. Just like when Buffett's a big truck on a highway, it can push it into the other lane. That truck is still going down the highway. It's still going in a direction. So others can change our path. We may have to kind of go around them and, go a path that we don't want to go. But if we're determined enough, they cannot change our direction. They will not change our direction.
That was a mic drop. I was just dropping the mic. Yeah, I don't have time for that story. Anyway, I was tell a story, but it wasn't going to make yours any better. So there you go. See, I'm learning. Yeah, Jake says it's a detour, right? It's just a detour, and we get your ass back on path. But it all starts with clarity of where you want to go. And I know, Micah, back a couple years ago, you had a vision of one day being able to not have something taped to your door, not have a bill collector calling you, not have all that other tension in the home and all this other stuff. You had that picture, that clarity out there. And guys, we talk about, I've said for years, I believe the 2 most important words for success are clarity and consistency. Get clear on what the hell you want and do the shit every day, no matter how small or how big it needs to be and how uncomfortable, and you will be successful. Okay. What we often do, what I've been guilty of is, I've been guilty of both of these, by the way. Some people, they're clear, they don't do the work. Okay. Other people, they're not real clear and they're doing a bunch of work and working their asses off. That's usually how I've erred in the past, is I haven't taken the time to get really clear, and then I end up climbing the ladder and it's on the wrong wall. That's a shitty feeling. So, all right. Reason I asked you if you had a few more minutes. Do you have any questions for Micah? So I don't know what's coming your way right now, man. This is live.
We'll see.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
So
I've got the
probably be
YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook open.
Oh, of course you do, Mr. Fancy Pants. Mike is the guy that takes all the automations and stuff and that we create and he makes them better. So he's always, it doesn't surprise me. You have like 18 things open. So Nate, great analogy. We sharpen our pencils when we route our map because a blunt tip will eventually throw you off course. What are you drinking tonight? I'm drinking Matua Sauvignon Blanc with a Vitamin Water Zero chaser. Any tips on a guy looking to start on his own, Micah?
It always starts with the numbers, right? Yep. So what's the vision? What are the numbers? How are they going to stack up? And what's the contingency if the numbers don't stack up?
Yeah. Yeah. To me, who was that? Jimmy?
Yep, Jimmy.
You don't have a business out on your own unless you have sales. Like I see this a lot with people where they do so much planning of creating a website and a logo and this and that, and they spend many months and thousands of dollars of their own money trying to get everything right before they actually get out there and get a customer. And I think one of the things that helped me come out of the gate really strong when I started a business was I didn't have truck reps. I didn't have business cards, barely. I don't think I didn't have a website. Certainly I wore cut off stupid jean shorts, work boots, and a fucking tank top. And I'd run around in a beater van and I'd introduce myself to people. And Neil's one of those guys. He's on here. He's got many stories about that. So I think get a customer. Okay. And those first few years of the business, to me, it's all about scoring points. You can't learn your numbers if you don't have numbers. So anyway, Charlie wants to know, how'd you get the debt under control?
I started charging more than I felt comfortable with. Is really ultimately, so one, I learned my numbers and I knew exactly my break-even point. When you know your break-even point, you will not sell, no matter how bad you need to sell something, you will never sell anything below that break-even point. So having that, and then also job costing after the job is done to make sure I hit that break-even point. And then it was kind of like one of those things like, hey, can we test this just a little bit more? Can we push the market just a hair more? And when you do that, 100 times a year, and say you were only doing it 10% more 100 times a year, that adds up to a lot of money, and a lot of money makes a lot of problems go away.
Sure does. Philip Scott asks, what kept you on course when you did not think you were going to make it?
I know it sounds cliche, but a lot of the programs have helped, being around people who push you when you're down, like-minded people, when you're struggling with something and you can kind of go and find just that little push to kind of keep you going. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I had a family that I could easily have let down. I could have filed bankruptcy and climbed out of it a different way. But that's not my story. That's not the story that I wanted to tell. That's not the impact that I wanted to have. That, I know that in the end, when this story is 100% complete and wrapped up, this is how I'm going to be able to change other people's lives. And so just having that kind of fuel in the backdrop and kind of knowing like, hey, one, my family needs me. They need me to win. They need me to show up every day. I can't let them down. I'm going to have, a teenager asking like about these days back then, like, what were you doing? What was going on? Right? Like that's coming very quickly. And being able to tell them that story is going to be the fuel they need. Being able to tell this story to you guys is the fuel maybe that you need to get past that mountain. And that every day, wake up, grateful, grateful before the feet
Mm.
hit the ground. Thank you, Jesus, for this day. Thank you for the people you put in my life. Thank you for what's going on. Thank you for a wonderful roof over my house. Thank you for, thank you for people on my team. Thank you for the people, just gratitude out to wazoo for everybody around. Then go own it.
Dude, you talk about that gratitude. One of my buddies, I won't say who it was, had so much adversity hitting him in every area, his health, his marriage, his business, everything, like all at the same time for like a 2-year period. And I said, how'd you deal with it? And he says, I'm not really sure, but I started every day with gratitude. And I opened my eyes and I said, thank you, God, that I have so much adversity that on the other side of this, I'm going to have one hell of a story. Like that was that he reframed it. Right. And
he started somewhere.
All right. So let me, a couple more here. Let me say this also, what kept you going. And guys, hear me loud and clear on this one. I work with a lot of people. I have for a lot of years. I've worked one-on-one. I've worked groups, had hundreds of people in the room. I've had 2 people in the room. Guys, I literally did one of my first probably dozen talks to groups in the community as a coach, speaker, consultant. Literally had 3-4 people in them. All right, they promoted this shit for weeks. Hey, Tom Reaver's going to come speak about growing your business and blah, blah, blah. And I get there. It was like London, like it's a rainy night, or frickin' Seattle, right? I'm watching The Killing right now. My queen and I are watching The Killing. It's a cool show. Anyway, but it's always fucking raining, right? It's just gloomy. That's what this one night was. It was so funny. They had promoted this thing for months. And I walk in and there's 4 people there, and 2 of the people worked at the place that had to let us in. And there were 2 other people. And I had this big rah, own your crap thing. And I'm literally, there's 4 people 6 feet away from me. And I'm standing up there and I'm like, yeah, you gotta go. Yeah. It was so embarrassing. But anyway, guys, so I've spoken to big crowds, little crowds, this and that. I will tell you this. Coached a lot of people. I see patterns. You guys see patterns. Micah, you see patterns. You see patterns in your kids, your spouse, the people you lead, the people you coach, or whatever it is, you guys. And here's a pattern that I see. And I'm actually getting amped up, so look out. Here we go. I could already tell my some of you. Now, if you're on here live or watching the replay and this doesn't apply to you, then great. Let it roll off your back. But as my old football coach said, if the shoe fits, right, put it on. So if the shoe fits, some of you are fighting harder for your mediocrity and your excuses than you are for your families. Okay? You are fighting harder and putting more effort to hold on to all your bullshit excuses, why you can't turn things around, why you can't afford this, why you can't get in shape, why you can't get to Denver, why you can't hire people or charge more, you name it. Whatever we talk about here that gets you more successful, I see more of a violent commitment from some people to hold on to that shit so they can prove themselves right in their misery than I do an effort to step the fuck up and provide for your family. All right, so that's all I'm going to say on that. Other questions here. A couple more questions. Nate wants to know, was there a light bulb moment like Derek talks about for you? You laughing makes me think you had a light bulb moment. Or you're like, no, it was just a strobe light.
You just no, I just how quick you went up and how quick you came right back down. Yeah. No. There was. And again, this is back to CSA. I'm not I know whatever, but
yeah, I
was sitting there. This goes back to Steve Shinholzer and Logan Shinholzer. And I first signed up. So I talked to Tom. I talked to him in 2017. And Tom's like, I'm going to put you in this program. I called Tom April after I'd burned through 200 grand of profit that we made in crazy snowstorms. You see all this stuff. This is snowstorm stuff that we made in crazy snowstorms. And I'd burned through that so quick that I was scared because I was like, I just paid off all the bad stuff and now it's coming again. And so I called Tom April of 2018, put me in your program. He's like, well, I'm going to put you in a different one. So I got into the CSA mastermind group. and I get a link, go to this webpage, you're accepted to Facebook, go to this webpage, watch this series of videos first. And it was Steve Shinholzer and his son, Logan, in a room above their garage with the crappiest filming equipment you've ever seen, walking through a role play of how you should sell. It 100% blew my mind, because before I experienced that, you ran out, you gave estimates, you did whatever the client wanted. The client was always right. It didn't make a difference who you were. It didn't make a difference what your experience was. It was all about the me. How can I impress the client? How can I show them how cool I am? How can I get them to sign on the dotted line? How can I just like show that I'm the expert? And so you're there like mouthing off, cutting them off, like showing them like, hey, I know what that plant is, and I know what the right way to do pavers is, and I know how to do this, and I know the right way to do, And so instead of hearing what the client wants and trying to focus on the client, you're making the client focus on you and how you're there and how you're the right choice.
Yep.
By the time I binged those videos. There's about 7 hours. I got that link. I think it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I watched all 7 hours sitting in my office. I just watched them all back to back to back to back. I didn't get home till after midnight, and I just watched every single one. At that moment, realizing that, hey, let's slow down. And it took me over a year to perfect. That's how slow I am. It took me over a year to perfect that system and make it work for my business. That after I implemented that system, I had almost no sales for 3 months because I didn't know how to do it. I sounded like a buffoon on the phone. I was still learning how to like communicate. Now I've got it and it works, but it took me time. I had to, okay, if this happens, then I need to say this. If this happens, then I need to say that. And I had to like program all these things into my brain. So it's just automatic. And that's what the role plays did for me. But once I understood that the client is kind of the center of all this, and not a bow down, they're always right kind of, the consumer owns the market kind of mindset. The client deserves the right product. But in order to give them the right product, you need to know what the client truly wants. A lot of times the client doesn't know what they want. And we're here as a guide. They're the hero of the story. We're here as a guide to guide them as the hero of the story to find, the perfect woman, to find the perfect backyard. We're their guide. We are not the hero of the story. They're the hero of the story. And so once that juxtaposition happened, and I realized, wait a second, Micah, it's not the Micah show, it's the client show. And it's not the client show and what everybody's taught you it is. That shift, that switcheroo, that juxtaposition, that's where everything changed. And that's when I was able to truly make the difference in the business.
I find it interesting that you were like, it was about 3 months when you changed and committed to your sales process, the new sales process that we had taught you, that you were striking out left and right. How did you hold it together during that?
There's so many other people that have success from it. I was able to look inside this group, and I was able to see, I think at the time there was like 160 members in the group. And I was able to look at every single one of them and see the people who are successful, the Jack Harju, the Alan Decker, I was able to see those guys inside of that group, and I was able to see how they implemented it, and they were 100% successful beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I was like, I'll get there. I don't know which is the right thing to do at this point.
Dude, that's one of the hardest things. And I think just in general, like we have, every one of us has a part of us that's wired for instant gratification, and it could be like something, let's use getting in shape. How many people give up on a diet plan or an eating plan and a workout thing because they're not seeing results fast enough, And I just want to give you credit for hanging in there because I know how hard it is. I know the pressure that you felt. Somebody asked a minute ago, so he lost money. And it depends, okay? Because here's the thing, and it's somebody named Chris. What's up, Chris? I'd say it depends because there's a lot of guys, like I said, 20 minutes ago, I've worked with a lot of people for a lot of years, done a lot of training, talked to a lot of groups. I've crunched numbers with a lot of people. And I will tell you guys, I swear, not an exaggeration, 85% of the contractors I sit down with and look at their numbers and what they're pricing, even when they're getting the job and doing the work, they're losing money. Okay. It's just they have money coming in and going out of the business, and it's basically just it's cash flow, right? So there is something to be, I don't want to go off on the deep end of this. There is something to be said for having cash flow coming into the business, right? Because it's like blood and oxygen. It keeps you alive, but it's almost like life support. And here's another big thing I want to say on that whole. A lot of guys think, well, I'll just price my work to have cash flow, keep the business alive, then I can grow. Guys, you can't grow if you're cheap. Okay. You cannot scale your business if you're not profitable. It will eventually catch up to you. And I say the tax man, but you call it the tax man or the piper or whoever the hell you got to pay. At some point, you're going to have to pay somebody. And yeah, somebody on Facebook just says it's the hamster wheel. So you're never going to get off of that. Let me ask you one more. I'm going to pick one more question here, and then we're going to get rolling here. And by the way, Neil Christensen, it's up on the screen. I love this, Neil. As a kid, I wish my dad could have told Micah's story. And I know Neil's story and his all that, and I know mine, and I wish my dad could have as well. Yeah, Neil says here, last comment, can't borrow your way to profitability. Yeah, Jimmy, it should be available on the YouTube channel and the Facebook group and all that stuff. All right, so Micah, I'm going to ask you two questions. You pick which one you want to answer. So you're going to hurt somebody's feelings here. Okay, I'm sorry. First question from Hunter, how did you decide to niche down? Or the second question from Dennis, what's the biggest thing you learned about yourself? You pick one of those and we'll wrap it up with that, you guys. And we'll get the links to the event and everything in there as well.
I'd say niche down. I think that's important. I think the reason ultimately that I was not the reason I was not successful before is because I didn't know how to say no, because I'm a yes man, right? When somebody has something, I want to help them. I want to be there for them. I want to take care of their problems. So I didn't know how to say no to those people, but when I figured out, like, hey, one, there's work that my team does not enjoy doing. So why would I say yes to doing that kind of work? Like, if they are not, if they're literally like kicking themselves every time they have to go install a couple drain pipes, why are we still doing that? You know, if they're kicking themselves every time they have to go mulch flower beds, why are we still mulching flower beds? So I looked at my team and who the guys are on the team, and we essentially talked about, like, what should the future be? What do we want our company to be in the future? And then I kind of took that vision and I said, because we liked water features, we liked the flowing water. It resonated with who I was and how I grew up as a kid, and, you know, having streams in my backyard and things like that. So we set a goal in 2018 to be the #1 water feature company in Hampton Roads, period. There is not going to be anything else that you're going to think of when you think about water features in Hampton Roads. So niching down was kind of like this. We realized, like, hey, if we can focus on like 3 things, we're not going to be constantly retooling our trucks to do it. We'll be the only person doing that. So of course we'll be the expert doing that. And then what does the team actually enjoy? And let's focus on that. And then it was easier for us to job cost. It's easier for us to know what's going on. It's easy for us to build pricing menus. So I have a pricing menu for literally every single service we do. There might be a few things that might fall between the cracks here and there. And when in doubt, I just go high. But for the most part, everything fits on a pricing menu now. And so it like, I know what the end result is, even if they go over a little bit. I know what the end result of that will be.
Yeah, it's funny you picked the niche question, because when I think back, I've shared before, I know in our communities and probably on this channel and stuff like that. I went in 1 year's time, we went from about a 32%, 33% gross profit to a 52% gross profit. Okay. So guys, let me just tell you this. And at the time I was doing about $1 million in sales. All right. So you got $1 million at a 32% gross profit, means you got $320,000 left to pay owner salaries, marketing, truck payments, debt, the shop, all your overhead. And in 1 year, I went from 320. And in that next year, I want to say, I'd have to look it up. I mean, it's in a banker's box somewhere buried in the house now. We did a little over $1 million that 1 year. And then we made a commitment, Micah. We niched down to some stuff, and I'll tell that in a minute. And this decision to niche, we did, I think we did 965. So we did less revenue the next year at a 52% gross profit was $501,000 minus 320. By niching down, we kept we did less revenue. We made almost $200,000 more, you guys. And here's how we niched. We had two divisions of our painting company at the time. Because this is what we do. We think we got to serve everybody. We had our residential repaint division that was painting Mrs. Jones's bathroom and her kitchen and shit like that. And then we had our builder work. And what I did is I did a deep dive on our numbers. I job costed the last 6 months of both sides of the business and realized I was getting my scrotum literally grabbed and pulled up over my head every week doing these builder jobs for most of the builders. Okay. Great analogy there, right? Great visual. And so we actually, I want to say I was doing work for 4 or 5 builders, remodeler, builder, GC guys. We got rid of all but 2 of them. Neil is one of the ones that we kept. Neil was a remodeler. He subbed work to us and he always respected us and this and that. But it was back in the days where we had fax machines and we'd fax people to Micah. And I literally sent a fax out to all the builders. And there was I think it was more than what I said. And I said, hey, I've appreciated you letting us do your work. We will finish the jobs that we're on right now, but this will be our last project for you. If you've given us a deposit for a new job, you can credit that towards what you owe us on these other jobs. We worked out all the money, whatever it was, right? Or we just refunded them. And guys, that, Daniel says high-end builder is the way to go. I don't care if it's high-end or low-end. I think it's somebody that just respects you, right? And you respect them and you can have a good relationship. I don't care if I'm doing track homes, you guys. I really don't. I just want to hit my margins. I don't care what the dollar. I want to hit my margins, have a good life, be respected, not be somebody's bitch and all that other stuff. But so Micah, it's funny when you shared about niching down and having to retool and all that other stuff. Like we had crews. This was one of my other points. I know them all over. We'd have this one crew in Mrs. Jones's house, and the next day they'd go do a new construction house, and then it'd go back to another Mrs. Smith's house. And it's a different mentality. You guys know the way you cover, the way you protect, the music and, shit like that. And so we found that when we niched and we cut that arm off of the business and went all in on the res repaint, it fit our skill set as our employees more. Because they were more dialed in with just being respectful and clean and polite and shit like that. So anyway, I think niching down, you guys, is one of the best things you can do. So I don't want to butcher this any more than we already have. So Micah, you're going to be in Denver. You're going to be talking about the choice to be profitable. You're going to be on a panel with a couple other people that we're announcing over the next couple days. I'm actually going live with one of those people tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm sorry, that's just the time we worked it out because he's traveling, I'm traveling, and some shit like that. So we're going to have another conversation with somebody else that I'm really excited because you and this other Micah, you know who it is, but I think you know who it is. But anyway, should I tell you? Should I just tell you guys now? Nah, we'll just do it tomorrow. But guys, this is real stuff. These are real stories. And I want to be clear here. We point to the water. We have a way of doing things. We have a mindset that we coach people through and a sales process and the numbers and all these other things. We have it, but it's guys like Micah did the work. Micah had to decide to get up and eat. Okay. And, you know, and there's a lot of people, guys, that have access to this shit that don't put in the work. Okay. That don't make the choice to be profitable. Okay. If you don't make a choice to be profitable and you keep with that victim mentality, that it's always somebody else's fault or their problem and their issue to solve,
Yep.
then you're never going to get where you want to get. So Micah, closing thoughts before we wrap this up. Michael Epps, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I think one thing we didn't really touch on, but we kind of circled around it, is the team of people around you, the people that support you, the people inside of your company, the people outside of it. None of this is possible without those people. Unless you want to be, the me show or whatever, then sure. But the entire team of people around me is what's made every single bit of this possible. The people that believed in my vision, the people that believed in my dream, and they're sticking it out, and they've been there for the long haul, and they're getting the reward for that. So just like find those people, get them on board, paint the vision daily, paint the vision so much that they're literally sick of it, that they're like they can repeat the next words coming out of your mouth. Like my team can literally, like, if I start to say something, they just start rolling their eyes. That's when you know that they've bought your vision. That's when you know that they're on your team, is when they roll their eyes. It's like, come on, Dad, I don't want to hear this again. But they believe it, and they're out there.
I know.
World.
It's I know. Yep. But guys, that's the thing. Don't ever tire of those basics, right? Don't ever tire of opening your mouth. I mean, we talk about this all the time in the fight. Guys, I get shiny object syndrome like all entrepreneurs. I get bored with things. Neil has to dial me, and I go, Neil, I feel like all I do is say the same shit every day. I say the same stuff. He goes, well, so does Dave Ramsey. Okay, so it's like, well, okay, good point, right? There's a reason Dave Ramsey keeps saying the same shit. There's a reason we keep seeing the same stuff. And Micah talking about your vision, pound that in their head, blah, 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 to where they can't ignore it. That's one of those reasons why you're where you're at. So here's my last mic drop of the night, because I think this would be a mic drop. I know if I were watching this and I heard what I'm about to hear, I would probably pee myself a little. Okay. Guys, I'm 51. Micah, how old are you?
I just turned 30.
So that means when you were 27 and a half going on 28, you were $500,000 in debt. You got all but 100 paid off now. You got a couple 300 in the bank, running the business. You've niched down, blah, blah, blah. Guys, I wanted to throw that out there for two reasons. Number one, there's a lot of younger contractors that think you got to live this life of getting kicked in the nads before you can finally wake up. Okay. Jason just goes, my goodness, Micah, right? See, guys, if you're a younger contractor, you don't have to wait. You don't have to go through all the pain that I've gone through, or Micah or other people have gone through. You can learn from Micah. Okay. Like, I'd much rather learn from someone else's pain than my own pain. Like, that's where I'm at now. And then I also want to share, because on the other side, there's some of you guys that are older, you're crustier, you know what you're doing, right? You're set in your ways, blah, 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 blah. You're going to criticize any new thing that comes along, or any mindset shift, or anything that's going to make you uncomfortable, because you're too busy you're too busy trying to protect your ego and be right. Okay. And one of the things I was coached on not too long ago, you guys, would you rather be right or get the results that you want? Okay. Would you rather be right or get the results that you want? So here's this young little punk, barely 30 years old, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Who's crushing it more, honestly, than the average home improvement contractor that's been in the business for 20, 30 years. All right. And it's because he made a choice to be profitable. It's that simple. Okay. So Micah, I super appreciate it. I said this earlier, if you guys didn't hear this or you got on late, we planned this, 5 hours ago, I sent him a text. I'm like, hey, you want to go? I knew I was going live, and I'm like, I want to go live, and I want to go live with Micah, and hopefully he'll make it happen. And Micah made it happen. So everybody type something in the box, the chat box. Give Micah some props here, man. Pat his ass on the back. Okay. Because Micah, you got one hell of a story, because you did the damn work. You chose to be profitable. I can't wait to hang out with you in a month and a half or whatever it is in Denver. And for those of you that are not signed up yet, early bird pricing ends this week. Don't wait. Okay. Micah, I know we won't go into this because we're wrapping up right now, but I know you came to some events early on when you didn't have the money and it made no sense, but you knew you needed to be in the room. Right. So,
Yep.
Micah was fucking $500,000 in debt and he found a way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I had a pretty amazing coach. So what can I say?
Well, I just told you to quit being a wuss and find a way to get there and your life would change. Because guys, I that's what I believe about events. I really do. Or events or being in a group or whatever it is, guys. I truly, truly believe with all of my heart when you make this, now I'll end with this, when you make the decision to do something like this, and it could be coming to this event, which I think you should, it could be losing weight, it could be bench pressing 300 pounds as your goal. Whenever you commit to the thing, your mind figures it out. Your mind creates opportunities. Your reticular activating system finds a way. Like a lot of guys are like, I don't have the money to go to Denver. I'm like, dude, you make the commitment. I promise you, your brain will start working on, your subconscious will work on ways to get your ass to Denver. Oh, I can't get away from my team. Okay. I guarantee you, especially this far out, when you make the commitment that you're going to be there, you can set your team up for success. Okay. And your brain will, bring them together. Like, guys, I'm going to be gone for a few days. How are we going to run this thing? What needs to happen? How do we set this up? So I'm 100% one of those. Of course, I'm biased about my own damn event here in the Contractor Fight, guys, right? Get to Denver. But I don't care what it is in your life. Joining another coaching program, this event, losing weight, mending things with your spouse, whatever it might be. When you make the damn commitment, the universe, I don't know what it does, but it figures out a way. All right, last question. What's on my hat? This is our Shin Fu rising sun with a boot on it, our Shin Fu sales training emblem. So anyway. Micah, I appreciate you. Did everyone say thank you to Micah? Hopefully you all did. All right, see a bunch of those in there because I told you all to. Don't piss me off. I'll come after you all. Well, I'm going to go hang out with my daughter now. Little date night with my daughter. We're going to go mini golf or something and eat some. I'm going to eat healthy. I will eat healthy. See, I'm making the commitment to eat healthy because I don't want to be a fat ass when I'm on the stage in Denver. Nor do I want to be a fat ass in the bedroom with my queen. So there you go. Or a fat ass anywhere for that matter.
You just made that commitment.
I did. Made the commitment. And everything's easier now. So, Micah, you rock, brother. Appreciate you, man. And guys, 11 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock or so. Mountain Time tomorrow. I'm going live with someone else who's going to tell a little bit of his cool story, who's also going to be on that panel discussion that I made a choice to be profitable with Micah. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a great night. And go to the damn website.
Yeah, right. Sign up.
Let me hit end broadcast here. How do I do that? There we go. Boom, done.